Hi everyone. Today I want to give you some tips on how you can sight read better and play in higher positions better. The same tips feed both skills. Before I get into it, I want to announce that I have a Patreon account now, and there's a link in the video description box below where you can come visit me on Patreon. I needed to say that before I forgot. Okay, so now let's get into how to be a better sight reader and play in higher positions. I'm going to give you 6 tips, and then I'm going to play through a particularly challenging little etude out of Harvey Whistler's Introducing the Positions, because it has really good examples of the skills that I'm talking about. So you'll follow along on the screen and I'll just kind of explain to you what skill and what tip I'm employing at each moment. Okay, so the 6 tips are recognizing what notes agree with open strings or are resonant with open strings. So any note that's named G, D, A, or E is really useful as an anchor for you, especially in higher positions, to help you play in tune and to help you check yourself. But it's also useful in sight reading lower positions as well. The second tip is work on your interval training. Know what the basic intervals are and train your ear to be able to predict and sing those intervals, both ascending and descending. And they have free apps that do this. My favorite website is called teoria.org, or is it teoria.com? I'll put the answer. I always forget which one it is. I'll put the answer on the screen. It's great. They have good ear training exercises and apps, and I have a tutorial on how to use those. So basically, the skill that you want is to be able to, for me to give you a starting note and then say, what would a minor third lower than that sound like? Bottom. And for you to be able to hear it in your head or sing it with your voice, or I guess make it with your violin. That's a different tip though. So learning the intervals, being able to complete the intervals, and train your ears both ascending and descending. That's hugely helpful for sight reading and for playing in higher positions. Okay, third tip is employing what I call pitch memory. And that is being able to recall a strange pitch or a milestone pitch, like a high note that jumps out from nowhere. Being able to remember that pitch so that when it comes back again, you'll be able to nail it with even more success. Or a low note, or an accidental note, or some weird tritone interval that was challenging for you. If you can remember what it sounded like, you just get better and better as you read onwards. Okay, so that's called pitch memory or retention. The fourth tip is to practice sight singing. I hated sight singing in college. Had I known what it does for your playing, I would have been a lot more enthusiastic about it. It's important. It's not about how well you sing. It's about how well you can measure distances between pitches. And here's a better term for sight singing. Let's not even call it sight singing. Let's call it pitch prediction. Because when you're looking at a piece of music, you have to sort of predict what the next note is gonna sound like before you play it. So if you're sight reading a song that you've never heard before, a really good person who has good ear training and good pitch prediction can basically hear the song in their head before they play it. Or they can be playing and they can say, oh, that's a major third skip. Okay, so that's should sound like this, and then they play it. Pitch prediction. Okay? The fifth tip is studying fingerboard geography. That's just a little bit of the nerdy nuts and bolts of violin playing. I have several videos about white notes and tetrachords, and I invite you to watch those videos because they give the basic ground level entry into fingerboard geography proficiency. Okay, the final tip is, oh, not much of a tip. I wrote worst case scenario, check the pitch with piano or with a pitch generator. So that wouldn't help you in a sight reading situation where you don't have time to stop and check. But if you're trying to learn a new solo or a really difficult passage, then you want to sit down at a piano keyboard or have your little pitch generator with you and use a device to help you. Okay, so that's the 6 tips. And I just want to point out that these 6 tips coordinate your eyes with your ears, with your brain. And by brain, I mean with your musical thinking part of your brain, where you can hear the songs with your brain without making any sound on an instrument, on anything external. That's a term called audition. And that's a term that was actually taught to me by a colleague named Andy Mullen. And he has a website called The Improving Musician. I just wanted to give him a shout out because it's really good stuff that he has on his website for ear training and audition and fingerboard geography. He has good stuff. So I invite you to check him out. So yeah, use all of your senses, your eyes, your ears, your brain, your sense of touch, your muscle memory. All of your senses can help you. Maybe not the sense of smell unless you're doing really badly. I'm just kidding. Okay, so now I want to just play page 36, exercise 168. I'm not going to do it on my tape violin. I'll do it on my other violin. And it's exercise 168. It's in 5th position, so that's kind of a high position. And I'm going to talk a lot during it. You follow along, and hopefully I'll be able to show you some of these tips in action so that they'll make sense to you. Okay, here we go. So, got to find our note. Oh, now, here's a trick. I didn't mention this trick, measuring. So, I know where 3rd position is. And so, I don't miss 3rd position. I can nail it cold. 5th position, not so much. So from 3rd position, I know that if I replace that 4th finger with a 2nd finger, I'll be in 5th position. So that's just a silent way of finding certain positions. You can also squeak the string, and you can kind of hear the pitch in a sneaky way. Okay, I'm going to skip the prep measure, and I'm just going to try to nail that first note in 5th position. And there's a couple tricks you can use to nail high notes without having to prepare them. And that is to measure from a known position, from a known quantity. I know 3rd position. I can nail it without any worries. And I know that the 4th finger in 3rd position is where my 2nd finger will go in 5th position. I just know that. That's part of knowing your fingerboard geography. And so I know that I can silently find that D by measuring from 3rd position. If you have any doubt, you can do the little finger squeaky and you can hear the pitch. It's a D. Okay, so the first 2 notes are a minor 3rd. So I know it's going to sound bottom, minor 3rd. That note that I'm about to hit is a ringy note. It's also a harmonic. So I can cheat and play a harmonic, or if I don't need to cheat, I'll play it with a hard finger. Okay? Oh, our key signature is 2 flats. So I know the next note, that B, is going to be right next to my 3rd finger harmonic note. And I remember what that first note sounded like because I'm using pitch retention or pitch memory. Bong! So the first 5 notes almost covered all 6 tips that I just gave you. Measure from a known quantity, that's not one of the tips, but it's a cool tip. And use the squeaky if you need to. And then predict the first interval, minor third. So it's going to be a low 4, because it's F natural, back to D, harmonic, and then half step, because it's a B flat. And I might have used finger glue. That would be really smart if I used finger glue. But if I didn't, if I had popcorn fingers, I still know what my first note sounded like. Bum. And then I continue with the B flat. F sharp is weird. How would I successfully find that F sharp? It doesn't feel natural in the position I'm playing or in the key I'm playing. It's squished up almost into 6th position, not quite, but so you got a couple choices. You can play it on a piano, you can use a tuner to help you, or you can measure it from the note that followed it. Look at the second real measure, not counting the prep measure. The second real measure is a G. And so that F sharp should have been just below the G. The G, which is a ringy note, and should resonate with your open G. So there's lots of ways that you can extrapolate and triangulate for weird notes that throw you off. And if you practice these skills slowly, they'll start to kick in really fast, because your success rate will go up. That's the reward that you get, and so it'll encourage you to do it more. Okay, let's go on. I won't do the whole thing. That would take forever. But so I just played. Now I'm in bar 2. Okay, so G, and I have a minor third, and it's the same feeling as bar 1. It's just one string over. E flat. Ringy 3. That's a harmonic. And I just know that, and you will know it too if you think about fingerboard geography. Now we have an F natural. And it was nice of Harvey Whistler to write a natural, but he didn't have to. It's understood that once you got into bar 2, that old F sharp went away. But it helps to remind you that that F sharp we worked so hard to be able to hear no longer matters, because now we have F natural. So let's start in bar 2. G, B flat, G, and those are ringy. And then low 4, E flat, ringy 3, half step, low 1, low 4, B flat. No real tricks that can help me in bar 2, except having played lots of arpeggios and really having a good grasp on minor thirds and major thirds. On violin, I'd say the intervals most important for you to master are minor thirds, major thirds, and perfect fourths. All the intervals are important, but those 3 will get you a really good start. So I would start by mastering your ear training and your fingerboard geography on how to create those intervals. Okay, let's just go on with bar 3. Oh, I moved my hand. Now I have to find that C natural, cold turkey. I know that if my third finger in third position is C, so I just replace my first finger, and if I need to, I can squeak it, and I just recognize that as a C. I know you probably might not be able to do that yet, but eventually you will. You'll develop really good pitch memory. That's what's helping me right now, is I just remember what the pitches were that I just played. Okay, C, perfect fourth. Here comes the bride. Harmonic. And then a whole step to another ringy note. You hear that ring? Okay, I got lost. Here we go. So the pitch memory in bar 3 is the C. There's no wrong answer, but to me, it's really helpful for me to remember the first note of that measure, C, because it helps me on the 6th note of the measure. Okay, and after that C, we have B flat and G and F natural. Harmonic. Or if you don't need to cheat with the harmonic, just your hand might just know how to create a major third. E flat, because the key signature. Guess what? I forgot to give you another tip. It's finger glue. When you're in high positions, any fingers you can leave down are going to be helpful because they keep you anchored, and chances are you'll need that same note in very short order. Sometimes you don't and you have to move it, but if you kind of adopt the rule, don't move a finger until you have to, that's a pretty good rule, and it will help you because you'll get lots of notes for free. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that because this video is long enough. It would be really fun to go through the whole thing with you, but probably only 3 people would make it to the end. So instead, why don't you try playing it and try to apply some of these 6 tips. Don't be surprised or feel bad if you can't do it right away. I've done this for years. Choose 1 tip per month. Just work on 1 of the 6 tips plus the added tip that I forgot about of measuring from a known quantity, and finger glue, leaving fingers down until you have to move it. I really should have added that to the beginning of this video, but I didn't. So that's the reward for those of you who stuck with me to the end. All right, so thank you for watching, and I will see you. All right, that's enough for today, I think. Thanks for watching. Remember, I have a Patreon account. The link is in the video description box below, and I'll see you next time.